macro, you are a little bit weaker as well because you're not running the armor vendors, as we see Glory doing. You're not running double Mortal Coil, double Unstable Shadow Blast. And so while it's clearly done well for che0nsu so far, I am a little reticent towards this this hybrid version of Warlock that he's got here to start things off.
This coming from the guy who jammed 8 hours of hybrid Demon Hunter the other day?
That's different. How dare you? That's completely different.
I mean, I see your point, to be fair. I definitely think that the Flesh Giants will be hurting che0nsu more than helping in this matchup because by the time you can get them down, for 5 mana, you're probably just dying by that point. I do think that the deck still contains all the tools that are necessary to beat Face Hunter, though. He's not cut any of the important deck thinning mechanisms like the Soul Rend, which also is his best board clear against Hunter, and the best way to get towards that crucial 10-card breakpoint, which then allows him to get the big healing with the Bloodshard Bristlebacks. And he still has the Tamsin, if I'm not mistaken, Tamsin Roam.
Yeah.
So that's the most important part also, to make sure that you can stave off some of the burst damage from Alan. It will hurt to draw some of the cards in that half of the deck, but if you don't have a clear read on what the field will be, I think there's definitely still room to go for halfway strategies and just try to be better on average.
Kind of a funky start here for both players. Tour Guide on one is a fairly common play against Face Hunter, especially when you're on the play. And I think for Alan, it probably still just ends up with Coin Adorable Infestation. Or I guess actually maybe Demon Companion, because it's then more likely to be able to survive. It's a little bit of a tough turn. Does end up on the Adorable Infestation just to get as sturdy of a Intrepid Initiate as possible. But then for che0nsu, are we looking at tap Panthara? You're just not even playing the quest until like turn 4, maybe, after the rod comes down?
Yeah, I think this is fine. Didn't we just see Bunny Hopper the other day not play quest until... Sorry, that was Shaman maybe, but to like turn 4, turn 5. It just gets che0nsu the most proactive ways to challenge Alan in the early game. So far, he has missed out on a third of first quest completion, but at the benefit of being able to stave off quite a bit of damage from Alan, he can still go Rod into quest backfire. The plan kind of falls apart if there is a Neophyte at any point, but given that che0nsu has not hit Touch, he's not hit Drain Soul, I think this is the play to keep him alive towards the big power plays later on. The keep on the weapon in the first place is very interesting. I kind of was of the belief that you just don't have the license to play weapon versus these aggressive decks, but with the way che0nsu's approached it by buying time with all these other threats, maybe that is the way to get the weapon down.
I don't think the weapon was kept, actually. I think it was just drawn off the top.
Oh.
Yeah, later on.
My bad.
Could be wrong. That could be wrong. But going with an interesting line here. Apologies here, of just Wriggling Horror on 1 minion. Still leaves himself, of course, vulnerable to trade plus either Drain Soul or Touch of the Nathrezim. But so far, he has made himself invulnerable to just a Mortal Coil, to just a trade from the Panthara. And it means that this one Initiate is putting in absolute work.
Yeah. It's just done tons of damage. It might just kill che0nsu, but I completely agree that this is the turn to go for the big swing, which is sometimes a big miss, but I want to go quest backfire here. It will make the Mortal Coil cost 0, so he can at least remove the Bone Chewer from the board. Oh,
wow.
Wasted into backfire, which will complete quest.
And discount the Tour Guide as well. This is very clever.
Right. Okay, true. There's not anything else going to be in the Raise Dead pool for a long time, so he is just trying to get even more discounts here. Yes, he will take a couple extra damage in the meantime, but it's really just 1 net damage that he takes more with this line, right? Because he gets to complete quest.
And with the Tour Guide down, if he taps, I think he's just dead. He's currently looking at 7 damage plus the 5 from the piercing shot, which means it's 1 damage off lethal here. Tap not available quite yet, so he has to go for something else first. Double Drain Soul, though, off the top. Keeps the dream alive. This is so close. You can go Drain Soul, then tap, then Mana Feeder, which then discounts your hand further. It might even be a giant turn here as well. My goodness.
Yeah, it is Mana Feeder, right? If you get Tamsin off the top, you can play Tamsin double Drain Soul, right? With the discounts.
True, actually, yeah.
But it's not there. So he's only going up to 5, and I think Alan can... Oh, wait, he doesn't have any more damage in hand.
He's got nothing right now. Yep, it's going to be 1 damage off lethal right now, surviving on board. Exactly.
And it's Giant Neophyte this turn?
If you play Neophyte, you are dead to Rhino, whereas if you just had a 3 health minion in play, you would be alive, right? So this does come at a pretty big downside, but either way, there it is. Aim shot off the top for Alan to close things out. What a win right out the gate. The Face Hunter, which has consistently been one of the weakest decks for both him and che0nsu, just comes out the gates flying with a quick win.
Yes, that was a very clean display of the power of the opening curve from Alan. He hit the Intrepid Initiate, didn't hit the Neophyte, didn't even need it. Just went all in on that 1 minion. And so often, if you ask the Warlock that first question, can you clear the new Initiate? Do you have the Drain Soul / the Touch? And if they don't have that answer, you've cleared the hurdle. You just have so much damage from that point on, because then they probably won't top deck it the next turn. che0nsu did not have access to Soul Rend until after he was already 2 damaged to go for it, and Alan had so many top decks there to get the lethal. With the 1 damage breakpoint, it wasn't just the aimed shot, it was quick shot, it was other piercing shot, it was Rhino, it was Wriggling Horror. We're not going to call that lucky whatsoever, but it does mean now that Alan's moving on to the Aggro Druid, which doesn't get to quite as explosive of a start in terms of face-up damage versus handlock, but it can be a lot more disruptive and annoying with the board states it creates.
That's right. It's a much more board-focused aggro deck, which against a regular version of Druid, an Anaconda Druid, as we are going to be seeing from che0nsu, works out pretty good, in my opinion, with only 2 Lunar Eclipses to be able to kill off these key early game minions. And with there being so many key early game minions, you can't kill off everything you need to. We're looking at Razormane Battleguard, a must kill. Watchpost, a must kill. Oracle of Elune, a must kill. Even Peasant, if it's hidden behind a taunt, can be so frustrating for the Druid to deal with if it can't hero power it down. I just feel that unless you're getting off to a very rapid start with the Anaconda Druid, I'm talking Glowfly on 4, maybe turn 5, ramping up to a massive Anaconda turn that isn't disrupted by a Watchpost. It has to be something of that caliber to be able to stand up to the sheer disruption and board development from the Aggro Druid.
And it stands to question the Lunar Eclipse then. If your win condition is Turbo Anaconda or Turbo Glowfly, are you supposed to keep Lunar Eclipse, which is a spell that would make your Glowfly smaller if used? My inclination is to say yes, because there are too many blowout individual cards from the Aggro Druid that you cannot afford to leave up that Lunar Eclipse can deal with, like the Watchpost and the Razormane Battleguard, but it's just another pain for che0nsu to have to think about, because the other win condition of the Glowfly does become worse if you have to use Lunar first.
All right, a very juicy looking hand for che0nsu. I would be interested in full keeping that, as I believe he has opted to do. For Alan, though, on the other side, am I crazy for wanting to full mull?
Not crazy, but I do like the look of Squirrel. Even though you're on coin, the upside of getting that down early is just so huge, right? Because it pushes its damage. Once it dies, you have the acorns in your deck, which don't often come down all at once, which means that if there is a partial clear from che0nsu, there's always the chance that some of it could come back and be a target for composting or arbor up. But Alan's agreeing with you, looking for the coin 2 into 2 better curve or a coin into Elune, and he does end up with the Battle Guard and the Watchpost and the Peasant. Oh my god, this is the nuts now.
Okay, I mean, I was going to say it's coin Watchpost, but as you said, with the Oracle now as well, what can Druid do to answer that? It has to be innovate to go hero power plus Lunar Eclipse that they never want to do anyway. Because the Peasant is in play, it disrupts him from going Guess the Way, which just means that the far Watchpost is going to be so annoying as well. He gets an even better top deck than the far Watchpost, because next turn it's Razormane Battleguard and double Teacher's Pet as well for 1 mana. This is disgusting.
Wait, hold on. We're still watching che0nsu's animations, but already, oh my god. Oh, I'm throwing up in my mouth. This is the perfect curve. Like maybe che0nsu had an out if there weren't all these taunts to go like discover Feral Rage or something, but he's on a 2-turn clock now. He has Anaconda, he has Nature Studies, but there's still pieces missing from this puzzle. He needs like the Cenarian Ward, he needs Germination to do anything.
I mean, this is doable. If this Nature Studies gives him Germination or Fungal Fortunes, and then he's able to draw into the rest of his power cards, like, this is not over yet. That makes it an awful lot harder to get through. Greybow off the top is illegal.
Okay, but he only has space for either Watch Post or Greybow. If Alan's thinking the only out for che0nsu is an Anaconda, is it not better to disrupt all of their draw with the Watch Post? I mean, I hate that I'm saying don't Groot me, dude, this turn, but I think Alan's in too far ahead of a position that he can't just go for this. Compost the entire board, and now che0nsu's best win condition is evaporating before his eyes. I mean, you can still get a Germination from the Nature Studies and build up some taunts, but I don't know if that's good enough, Derek.
I agree. We need an absolute miracle for che0nsu to be staying in this one. And let's see if he can get it done.
All the ramp, Anaconda, zero-cost Nature Studies looking for Germination.
None can stand against the Serpent Lord.
I can see.
Oh, we didn't even get to see. What the heck?
I'm going to assume it wasn't good enough, though. I'm going to trust che0nsu on this one, that it wasn't the card draw, the Germination, the Scenario Board, whatever he needed. Because, man, Alan, quick as you like. We've been here for, what, 15 minutes now, and we're 2 games down in the Grand Finals. You and I were saying that we do think in the break before the broadcast started again for the finals, that we think Alan is in a good spot. I didn't think it would be this one-sided, though. This is just an absolute massacre.
It really was. I mean, who am I to think that the squirrel's good enough? Shuffle the nuts in your deck, but why not just play the nuts if you're Alan here? This Oracle of Elune has put in massive work for him. Every single game we've seen the aggro Druid so far. Incredible stuff. We do know that the Druid was going to be the toughest deck for che0nsu to ever get a win with, and maybe the deck that is most out of place in Alan's lineup. I'm not going to say it's a bad bring because it's still a good deck overall, but it's not akin to the rest of the decks in terms of overall game plan, is the Garrote Rogue, and that's what's left for him now. I still think this is pretty good for Garrote Rogue into Druid because you have access to Cult Neophyte, which you can bounce and delete turn after turn from the Druid, but if you don't find it, then the Anaconda can be very, very tricky to deal with.
Okay, we've got a couple of the key cards for both players here with Overgrowth and Contact. I do agree with tossing the Glowfly, despite how potent it can potentially be against Rogue. When you don't have any card draw, especially on the play, it's just a little too flimsy. And I do expect to see a full mull, aside from the Contact, sorry, of course, for Alan as well.
I would agree. This is another matchup where you can potentially just go for Octobot on the board because the Druid needs to discover ways to deal 4 to deal with it right away. And if you bank that mana on turn 2, you can already go for a preemptive Contact on turn 3. If you have something like Guardian Og Merchant to protect it, that's also not dying to Druid. Even if they have Lunar Eclipse, they also have to expend a hero power or something. It is just a nightmare, all these small minions. But Alan ends up with a relatively slow hand. No Neophyte, no Octobot. He does have Coin Shroud, but it's honestly not the greatest curve. Is that a prep I see? All right.
Wow.
That's much better now.
That is incredible. Like you were talking about, if there's a potential Tempo Octobot on 2. Okay, misses on that, but still a very powerful curve. Like, we've got Contact with an Orc Merchant available on 3 to give it Divine Shield. That's just a really strong curve.
I mean, if he's a real gamer, he could just say you don't have Lunar Eclipse and go for it now. He has a second one, but all right.
He's a gamer,
Fair
he's
enough.
not a madman. Good draw as well for che0nsu, though, in the Nourish. I would imagine, for some card draw, given that he has plenty of mana to work with now. But of course, it means that even if there is a Lunar Eclipse off the top, he'd have to use a hero power alongside it to be able to clear off this Contact, which means basically it's very unlikely that it is going anywhere.
Yep. Okay, does end up with... Oh my god! The Lunar! he has to hero power it too?
Bloom, Luna, hero power? Ugh.
Okay, hold on. Is this really worth it?
Is this really worth it?
I'm not sure. I thought he was gonna Bloom Overgrowth. I guess he still gets the fungal next turn, but I agree. Ugh, that feels bad.
Did you not want to go Bloom Solar Luna Overgrowth?
That's it. Bloom Solar. Oh, the Lunar would kill it, right? Because it goes twice. Yeah.
Or, oh, sorry, it would have to be Bloom Solar Luna Overgrowth, right?
Yeah, but that's still better than what he did.
Still sounds a little better. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Or even like Bloom Solar Luna Fungal Fortunes, just to spend the mana on card draw straight away.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
That's bad.
Second contact for Alan was insta. Now he has the Octobot. This is just look for Neophyte and GG, it feels like.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to come back from that one, especially with just all this card draw. Oh my lord. Off the top.
Oh, there it is!
Oh my goodness, disgusting.
He gets a Shadow Step? Did he? Oh my god, what is happening?
You... Okay, so Step Neophyte is obviously what I'm thinking at first glance.
I agree.
This is his second field contact though, right? Are you ever afraid if they just draw the second Luna and play it that you're not able to kill them quickly enough because you've lost your second contact?
No, I don't think so. You're just pushing so much damage still. Like the second Neophyte shuts down alignment, right? Which is, I think, the biggest fear for Alan this turn. So yeah, it's just... Think of this as Illusia, the double Neophyte. Right?
Oh, I love it.
Can't do very much reactive. It's strong.
It is pretty good. And so now we are looking at 10, 13 damage on the board. Garrot with +1 spell damage. This is just so likely to be lethal this turn, right?
I think so. He's going to start Penflingers in the deck, and the Penflinger comes back for more draws. If he wants, he could deviate to Kazaka's 1-cost Golem. It's good too. Everything's good.
That's true, actually. Yeah, it could be. It does mean if you miss on spell damage or +1/+1 that you can't get the Neophyte down.
Yeah, I think this is probably better. On average, he just gets to play so many more cards, which means more chances at bleeds.
The Octobot as well. He can go Swindle, Brain Freeze. This is disgusting. Alan, he's finally back. The prodigal son hath returned, Gia.
I mean, what he did with the Neophyte, it was Illusia, but somehow I love it. I hate Illusia, but this was just a complete massacre. 3 games to 0. che0nsu not able to get his foot even in the door with this Druid. We were talking about how this could be potentially the problem deck. It didn't get anything done whatsoever. No chance to fight back. Alan completely rewarded for the risky lineup bring, all on aggro, and che0nsu is going to close it out in second place. He can still be happy with a good performance here, but for now, it's all about Alan.
Oh. Look at that gorgeous man. What a god. We love you, Alan. And I'm so happy for him. So well deserved at the end. It was a weird road to get here. I'm not going to lie. Against Surrender, where he got the reverse sweep, where Surrender missed a line that I admittedly also missed on the casting desk, to get double Brute down on the same turn. A straight up blunder from Glory to be able to get the exact lethal to go through to the finals. But there are just no qualms whatsoever about that finals. There is nothing you can say against Alan at this point. He drew the nuts, but he played phenomenally throughout as well. And he is back on top. Getting a week's win bumps him up to 7 points, which is now not firmly, but it's outside of the relegation for the moment.
Yeah, and because che0nsu made it to finals, he's also out of the relegation zone for the moment, as we saw in the player cards. Honestly, this series as a whole, shorter than an episode of Mull It Over probably, but Alan already taught me more about mulling for the aggro Druid and Garrot Rogue to a certain extent than you could possibly learn. Like just going for the Priestess of Elune at all possible junctures, getting the absolute unbeatable blowout boards when you know that your opponent isn't running that much removal. He was just just punishing everybody for the greedier decks going into this meta, truly proving that it's not completely solved just yet. He is the outlier in the entirety of APAC. Nobody else copied this strategy, and Alan managed to make it all the way to the end. And he closes it out with a kiss to the audience, a heart sign, and a little happy dance. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we got in APAC. That's our Alan jam, and it is absolutely adorable and well done as well. What a day's Hearthstone. Ups, downs, and at the end of it, I am ecstatic. And here it is. We can take a look at how the leaderboard is now shaping out. It's Dawn now, sadly, firmly in last place with 4 points. But che0nsu tied with Drees in terms of points, but because of tiebreakers, I would imagine, just slightly higher up, given that he has now got a second place finish, which is the first tiebreaker. And Alan up there in tied with Tiz, I think, given that they've both got a first place finish. Completely different landscape from what we were looking at the start of the week. And